Trump and Putin shake hands during the joint news conference in Helsinki. By Kevin Lamarck, Reuters. It was an outrageous proposal, in exchange for allowing Robert Mueller to question the 12 Russian intelligence officers he had recently indicted for hacking the Democratic National Committee. The United States would ship Obama administration Ambassador Michael McFaul to Moscow for questioning. Vladimir Putin would certainly love to get his hands on McFaul, who was a fierce advocate for democracy and civil rights during his posting. But the Russian president did not suggest the swap with any realistic expectation of it actually happening. Instead, Putin was playing a larger, shrewder game. Several games, in fact. Putin probably assesses that if any American president in the history of this country would and could do this for him, handing over an ambassador, it would be Donald Trump, says Cindy Otis, a former CIA military analyst and branch chief. But McFaul really wasn't the point of this trial balloon. What we're seeing is that Putin is testing Trump to see how much he can get out of him. The fact that Trump didn't dismiss the trade out of hand, quite the opposite, praising the idea as an incredible offer during the infamous Helsinki news conference, was a victory for Putin all by itself. It doesn't just show how Putin perceives his relationship with the president, that he would face zero consequences in raising this idea, Otis says. It also demonstrates to Putin how little Trump understands his own government, his own country's history, and international norms. It's a hugely revelatory thing for Putin. Besides probing the depths of Trump's gullibility, Putin was sending a chilling message to his critics, especially coming on the heels of the recent poisoning of a Russian spy who defected to England. Russia denied any involvement with the poison attack, which also hospitalized 3 other people. His offer to Trump also included a desire to seize Bill Browder, the American-born financier who successfully pushed Congress to pass the Magnitsky Act, which punishes Russian human rights violators. Just by introducing this notion, and by Trump's reaction to it, it sends a message to Putin's critics, namely someone like me, that you need to shut up, says Clint Watts, a former FBI counterterrorism expert who is now at the Foreign Policy Research Institute. Your country has no backbone, and they will trade on you, and you're not safe. That's a form of suppression of your opponents that is very effective. Browder isn't going anywhere, neither is McFaul, though on Tuesday he will meet with Fiona Hill, the Russian specialist on Trump's National Security Council, to discuss Russian harassment of American officials. But Putin is also aiming to intimidate important lower-profile cogs in the American intelligence machinery, people who can't rally media or political resources to their defense and who can easily decide they don't need the increasing risk that their profession entails. Putin would love nothing more than for the dedicated men and women of our government, particularly in the national security architecture, to leave because they don't feel safe. Otis says. I think absolutely he got the reaction he wanted, which was public servants saying, this government I have devoted my entire life to may not protect me. Should I even be here? The Russians' ultimate goal wasn't just to get Trump elected, it is to destabilize the United States by shaking our institutions and sowing divisions in our society. Those covert actions continue, according to American intelligence officials, even if the president denies that Russia is targeting the United States. Otis recently got a first-hand view of how pervasive and unrelenting those efforts remain, particularly interference with the 2018 midterms. After signing up to volunteer on a local political campaign, the former CIA analyst immediately became a target of Russian online trolls and spear-phishing attempts. It was interesting, Otis says. But they sure picked the wrong person to try. If only the current occupant of the White House were quite so wised up. When the notion of turning over McFaul to the Russians drew condemnation on both sides of the American political aisle, Trump petulantly responded by sticking his finger in the eye of the establishment yet again, this time by inviting Putin to Washington this fall. Yet intelligence experts believe Putin risks overplaying his hand by accepting. I don't think Putin gives a fuck about the Republican Party or hurting its chances in the midterms. He cares about making sure our parties are fighting with each other. And he wants a president who is pro-Russian, says John Cipher, who spent 28 years in the CIA's National Clandestine Service, including running the agency's Russia operations. But Trump is so pro-Russian that it's going to rebound against him. Will Putin, who has routinely outplayed the president, leave Trump to twist? If I were Putin, I would say, oh, thank you very much. But let's do some agreements and other stuff first, and maybe I'll come next year, Cipher says. Putin is at heart an intelligence operative, and he clearly understands Trump's ego and weaknesses. Turning down Trump's invitation would be nuanced political strategy, with a bonus, it would leave his mark squirming with longing.